guys. Welcome to another episode of the Roland Rock Podcast presents Bum the Warband. As always, joining me in the Warband are my two compatriots, the Prince of Pustulence, David Wu,
Hi.
and our local Git, Jason Carmen.
How do?
So, guys, today we're going to have more of a relaxed episode, and we had talked about this previously, I think off camera, but obviously in the line of our hobby requires, doesn't necessarily require, but is heavily facilitated by one thing alone.
Cheetos.
Okay, not one thing alone. Game stores.
Oh yeah, those are cool too.
The proverbial gathering spot for a lot of us. So today I kind of wanted to just talk about growing up, past, present, recent, just game store stories. You know, something that stands out to you guys about your local game store, because we are all in different places now. So, Will, I'll start with you.
Well, I have a fun game store story.
All right.
Roland. You might remember this one. This was a few years ago. We were playing HeroClix because we was young and didn't know no better up in, whatever, at our semi-local game store for a tournament. I think this was Age of Ultron.
Okay, this was I think.
Event.
What store was this?
That was D20. I didn't know we were naming names. Yeah, D20 Hobbies up in lovely Lexington, Kentucky, next to I think it's across the street from the Shriner Temple.
It's actually, it's a very nice little game store.
Oh yeah, great place, love it. And I remember I got a buy, I think, or maybe I was already finished my game, so I was sitting there watching you, just looking more and more, let's say, dour as your match progressed.
Oh no, I think you actually warned me about this before. This was the first match was fine.
This was the second round.
Yeah, I remember the incident what you're talking about now.
Yeah, I warned you, but in keeping with tradition, you didn't listen to me. And tragedy ensued.
There was nothing you could warn about what was getting ready to happen.
I mean, fair. And then I just saw you pull the judge aside, have a little chat, and then just start packing your shit, because apparently your opponent's area smelled just a little too bad.
Oh. So, kind of give an idea of what went on. Gentlemen, hygiene is a very, very important thing, and what you should do if you go in public.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's to a game store. Do not offend people with your odor. Proper bathing and deodorizing are pretty much mandatory to go into these places.
Yeah, please stop perpetuating the stereotypes, people. Come on.
Water is not a bad thing.
Water's not a bad thing, but having the term gamer funk exist kind of is a bad thing.
You know, it is. It is. It's sad.
It's sad that they have to put in the Gen Con program guide the little bit about, hey, your hotel has a shower and the soap is free. Please use them both. I think it's been there the past few years, except for this year where it doesn't exist. So you can be all stinky at home all you want. But yeah,
I can almost. I don't agree with it, but I can almost understand it more at Gen Con than I could definitely at the turn. Because at Gen Con, you are walking around all day. You are busting your ass to get around that entire convention center. So you are sweating. You are kicking up a little bit of funk. That's why you need to keep an extra stick of deodorant with you. You know, keep that funk on lockdown. But needless to say, this gentleman, I had gotten after that first round, I had gotten word, if you have to go up against this guy, breathe through your mouth.
Yeah, so you get to taste his ball funk instead of smelling it.
It was this gentleman. I still don't remember his name or anything.
I know his name, but I'm going to be polite and not out him.
Well, I'm not asking you to. The issue we had was literally the fact that even if I did try to breathe through my mouth, this guy was just, it was bad enough. I couldn't go on. I literally couldn't. To the point it was like, I'm trying not to be rude to the gentleman, because I'm not, I have been rude to people before over stuff like this.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, there's a point.
We don't want to shame anybody, but just be aware.
Exactly. So I went through it as long as I could until I was just like, okay, I'm done. Have a good day. Packed it up. I was done because I was like, all right, cool. So 1-1. I'm not placing in the finals. That means I don't have to stay here any longer. I think that was our quickest tournament, Lou, and our quickest excursion to D20.
You might be right. I had one tournament that ended faster, but it was a draft, and I opened my first booster, saw that the Chase Thanos was in the pack, and the other guys at the table just went, fuck it, let's just not play.
And that's one of the actual sad things about some of those tournaments. It's like they have those god-ending pieces. But so that was one story. I mean, was there any other kind of stories that you had about any of the game stores in previous history or anything like that, or currently?
Oh gosh. See, I haven't been to the game store in so long because of the current apocalypse happening. Most of we only have the one game store here in town now, and I've never had any problems there. But I mean, the place we used to play a couple of years ago, I mean, that was just a rotating cast of, let's say, interesting folks. There was the guy who walked around with a pistol on his hip in front of the, Yu-Gi-Oh kids. And
all right. So, well, how about you, Carmen?
There was one I went to in my youth frequently. Helen's. Was it just Helen's bookstore?
I think it was Helen's Books. Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah. So it was run by an elderly lady and her husband. She sold D&D stuff and comics and magic cards, and I actually bought my first set of dice there.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know if my first set of dice came from there, but I remember, fun little tidbit. When I got my license, the first place I drove was to Helen's.
Oh, good on you.
I used to walk there from my house all the time. Like, I would mow my neighbor's lawn and take the money I made and go buy magic cards. And that was like a weekly thing.
There you go.
So, yeah.
That was such a quaint little store. Just little bookstore run out of this older couple's garage across from the sewage treatment plant.
So in the summer, it was rough.
Oh,
it was a little rough.
It was wonderful.
Man, she was such a daredevil because she would sit behind the counter, which for some reason was like 3 or 4 inches above floor level. So she looked down on everyone else, newspaper in one hand, and a Virginia Slim that was smoked almost to the filter but had not been ashed once, literally surrounded by like old Harlequin romance novels lining the shelves, the perimeter of the store, just smoking away.
Yep.
It's either that or a TV guide. She was always reading something. It was either like a TV guide, a magazine, or a newspaper.
It was never the stuff she was selling in the store.
Yep.
Because bless her, I love these people. I have nothing bad to say about them.
Yeah, they were.
But it was like they were great people. I don't think they really understood the stuff they were selling. They just knew, the kids like it, so we'll keep it.
I remember seeing a lot of Kindred of the East books there too.
Yeah.
Spelljammer, if you guys remember
Yeah.
Spelljammer.
Yes.
I bought
Yes.
every Planescape product she had, and that was most of them.
I don't remember buying a whole heck of a lot of Magic cards from her because at that time, I didn't really drive.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard to get there. But I think the reason that she did stay around as long as she did, it's just something to do, and she made people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need more stores like that.
The only thing is that, man, on Fridays, once school was out, when everybody was making that rush to either go get Magic cards or what, parking could be kind of a challenge. I remember that.
Yeah, there was space for maybe three cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think because Helen's was big, that was one place that we all three had in common.
Yeah.
I just thought of this one while we were talking, but London had something kind of similar that was in the Walmart shopping center at the time.
Right.
Called Plaza's Book. If you guys remember that place.
Is that the one that was half Hallmark store? It was where the old Walmart was?
Yes. Plaza's Book and Cards. That is where I found my first Magic the Gathering booster box.
Ooh.
Or not booster box, but starter box.
Man, I miss those.
For revised. And little did I know that 20-some years later, I was going to be working at Radio Shack for the next 10 years. It was literally like a door down from where Plaza's Book and Cards was. But the big game store that I remember, one of the first ones that I actually went to, a legit game store, was in Lexington, Kentucky. And as far as I know, it is Lexington's oldest game store. And I'm daring to say their most successful game store, the Rusty Scabbard.
I'd say you're right on both points on that.
Because the Rusty Scabbard, this would have been right as soon as they moved to that location and where they were. So this was like 95, 96. This has been 95 or 96, probably 96.
I never went to the old location. I didn't know there was one.
I knew they had moved because the very first time I went there was in 95. And I didn't go again until probably 10 years later. And it didn't seem like the same place. So
yeah, every time I've been there, it's been in that same spot right behind that gas station in that little shopping center. I remember they had my buddy bought 2 or 3 booster packs of Ice Age. This is going to date it because that was the big popular set at the time. We were fresh out of a Star Trek convention.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was me and Travis growing up. So we get there, we're looking around. I also discovered the wondrous and most beautiful thing that any RPG nerd could ever find, a used bin.
Ooh, yes. They still have that.
Yes, they do. So do you remember and I still have these books still to date, the old first edition, no, we'll put that down. That's like herpes the game world. Don't spread that around.
You tried spreading those herpes. Do we want to talk about that story?
yeah, Roland.
Anyway,
How did that go for you?
Yeah. Why don't you tell us that story since we're telling stories about buying used games?
I don't know how I came across a copy.
Oh, I do. It was Gen Con.
Was it you? Were you the one that gave me that or did I just randomly?
No,
say, "Hey,
no.
I'll pick it up."
No, I found it. I found it first. I think the previous summer for $2, and then you found one at Gen Con the next
Dollar.
summer.
I want to
Yes,
say
you paid half of what I did for it.
I paid a whole dollar for this book. Yeah, bring it up. It was this. It was this.
Look at it.
Using it as toilet paper is more beneficial than what it's actually meant to be.
By the way, leave a
I don't know
comment in the section below if you want someday an actual play of Roland and Jason playing this game.
You know, I don't know if that game is that honestly that bad.
It probably isn't, but
You know, I just I don't see that as an itch that needed to be scratched.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't either.
they scratched that itch to the bone too. If you've ever actually flipped through this book, but Roland, finish your story. What happened after you found this book?
So, you know, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna give this away. This is gonna be a great game because I'm notoriously bad, especially with me and Woo do this a lot. We will from time to time get each other just the dumbest, weirdest, cockamamie gifts for each other.
I still have that DVD copy of Pumping Iron you gave me for my birthday that one year. That was awesome. I've actually watched that movie more times than I expected to, so thanks.
So I decide it's Carmen's birthday. So
and
guess
for
who's
context, we all have birthdays right around the vicinity of Gen Con, so that's usually where we do our shopping.
Yep. So I'm
Didn't
like, all
turn
right.
out well this year.
So I'm like, all right, this is what Crone's getting for his birthday. I try to give him this book. And what was your reply?
No, I'm good.
But no, I insist.
No, I'm good.
I couldn't even get it into his house. If it had gotten to his house, it wouldn't have left because I would have stashed it somewhere. But needless to say, I think I don't know if I still have that copy or if it wound up just miraculously disappearing.
Miraculously. Like into the trash?
Yeah, I have a problem with throwing away books.
Yeah, I do too, but
if we're being honest here, I was very insulted. I mean, words can't describe how insulted I was.
yeah. Happy birthday. Have this RPG book about monkeys.
It's like one of my best friends thinks so little of me.
Boy, howdy, did it set the tone for the next 2 years.
You missed out though, because in the back of the book there is this order form where you can fax or mail payment if we're dating ourselves for this Gorilla Shock Trooper miniature. I don't know if that's still available, but I highly friggin' doubt it.
It should have an expiration. Maybe.
Well, it does not.
So
there's probably a warehouse full of those things somewhere.
Don't say that, because then I'll look into it and I'll end up with.
You will find it.
I will find it and I will buy a crate of them, and then I will end up sleeping on the couch for a week and a half, being forced to eat them to survive. I don't know how many pewter gorillas I can eat before I start to, experience ill effects from that.
probably not a lot.
I wouldn't imagine.
Probably more than I want to, but less than. There would be leftovers. I don't know.
You know what? We got an extremely good deal.
Did we?
These books are going for the cheapest I can find online, $11.
They're not going anywhere for that. That might be the asking price, but they're not going anywhere. They are staying where they are for $11.
I want to say this one has. This one is a buy it now for $9.99.
Ooh!
There are no auctions going currently for this book. $7.99. Oh, it keeps getting better.
Oh, does it? You mean that's a refuse to buy it now? I think the.
But anyways, so yeah, the Rusty Scabbard. has a real. I'm kind of going to get a little sentimental here. When I moved back from Atlanta, I'd been living there for probably about 4 years, 4 or 5 years. So when I got back to Kentucky, I was staying in Richmond, which is just a stone's throw away from Lexington there. We're there one afternoon, and we actually had met a gentleman who was playing, I want to say he was playing Warhammer on the tables. And it was Josh Drury, which was one of our oldest friends, who's sadly no longer with us. But had it not been for that store, I would have never met him.
Yeah. You know, I can say almost definitely that that's what he was doing there, was playing Warhammer. Because he's the one that got me into it.
Yeah.
Dragged me kicking and screaming into that game.
And I've met a couple of really good people that come out of that store.
Yeah. And if I could call back to, anyway, one of the guys that I discussed, that I had painted his name on one of my Space Marines. You probably can't see it there. There's his last name on the shield. I've done that for a few of the guys who are no longer with us, unfortunately. But I just happened to have him handy and wanted to show him off a little bit.
And as a matter of fact, that's how I met Joe too. It's because of a game store. He was actually working in one.
Is that how you met him?
Yep, I walked into the game store in London and bought a beat all to piss Magic card just because I hadn't seen it. I'd only seen it once in my life, and I was like, there it is. I'll buy that just because I think it's, it's just fun. As a Phyrexian Dreadnought, like that.
I remember that.
1.
It was 1313 and he cost 1. I had him.
Yeah, I just thought that card was so cool. So
it was. Well, since we're talking about Joe,
yeah,
here's this guy. I know you definitely can't see it. It says Joe on the scroll work on the pauldron there, and a big A for Auditor. Sassy as all get out in the pose. Kind of fitting, I thought.
I think he should have a hand towel just for
He should have a hand towel.
for reasons we won't discuss, but it's
that's a little inside baseball, and we're going to keep it that way for now. And since we already showed off 2 out of 3,
we'll just say you can.
Yeah, you can.
You definitely can.
And for another one of our fallen gamer buddies, this one for Jeff Eisen, sadly no longer with us. Yet another one that I think Josh roped into playing Warhammer with us.
And you know how he roped us in on that damn game was because of Dawn of War.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I know we all played a bunch of Dawn of War. That was
one of my introductions into 40K. But yeah, I mean, like, game stores for a long time have held has always held a special place in my heart. I like to go to them. One of those, I occasionally go to a couple. I've had a run-in with one of them here recently. So normally I don't like being negative about things, but I want your guys' opinion on this. Okay, so that way, if I'm just being a shithead about it, then tell me. So recently, I've been buying Magic cards. So big nostalgia hit for me, and so I was trying to buy some old Alliance cards. Usually pennies on the dollar. Bought Ritual of the Machine was one that I was happy to finally get my hands on. It was a black control Magic, basically. And then there was a card called Lake of the Dead that was it tapped for black, and then you sacked it, and you got 3 black mana. Pretty common, or not common, it was a rare out of that. But it's one of those I was trying to get a play set up. because I've got two. I was trying to get two more out of it, so I could just be done. If I wanted to, ever make kind of an older deck, because I have been making some old school decks.
Right.
So, anyways, I was going through, and let me actually type this up. So I was actually looking up. Well, I wasn't looking up. I was actually going in. I was looking for cards. So I found Lake of the Dead. I was like, you know what? I just need to get these last two, and I'm done. So I'm talking to the guy. I'm going through a revised box. I'm picking out cards, and this is like my second trip in, and I'm clearing up revised and some unlimited cards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh yeah, I need to pick up a couple Lakes of the Dead. And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. I was like, so while I'm buying up these cards, I just want to make sure, how do you guys get your pricing? Because there's nothing priced in the cases. There are no price tags at all on any of the cards. So he's like, oh, it's simple. Download the TCG player app, and we go by TCG player market price. I'm like, okay. And I hadn't got the app downloaded. I was like, well, while I'm going through this, if you want to go ahead and, I'm going to need at least two Lakes of the Dead. That way I can finish up everything. I was like, so how much are the Lake of the Dead? He's like, I think they went up. I was like, yeah, that's probably true. Most Magic cards, especially right now, for whatever reason, they're going up. The price on a lot of the old stuff's just continually going up. So he looks at me and goes, oh yeah, Lake of the Dead, oh, it did go up. It's $44 is the market value price. I'm like, shit. Because originally when I was starting to look into buying them again, they were 34, but I was like, 44 at the $10. Sure, no problem. Go ahead and start getting me, get them ready. Well, he doesn't even get them out. It's like, oh no, we can't do that one. I'm like, well, why? He's like, other people are selling these for $60 or $70. Here we got one for 70 something dollars. I'm like, okay, your pricing model that you just told me though is literally TCG players fair market value price is what you use to price your cards. Well, not in this case, because everyone else is selling them at a higher rate. I'm like, So literally you just decided you wanted to try to get an extra 20, 30 bucks out of me at that point? So this gentleman decided to do this, which ultimately meant I just stopped buying. I was like, I can give Jeff Bezos or somebody else money. I'm just whatever. I'm not. And it's not the fact that the price was that high. I was told one thing and then immediately was told something entirely different.
Right.
That's what got me. Because if I'm not mistaken, TCG player market value for that is in order to protect buyers, i.e. me, from inflated prices due to market buyouts. Because if I remember right, back in like 2015, people were going in and they were targeting certain cards and just buying them up and buying them out of the market, which caused the prices to just spike overnight. The first one of those was Moat. Moat used to be a $300 Legends card. It went from $300 to $750 over, like 700 something overnight, because overnight every single online retailer went completely out of stock overnight because it was a planned buyout. So TCG players, some of these other places started setting up market value as that's what the market value is. That's what your card's going to be worth. That's what the price should be. So it would keep now over time, that value would go up because if those cards are selling and not getting introduced back into the market, the only sales they have to go off of are those prices.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to go boop, and then the market gets flooded back in, and the price, floors out, it's going to eventually, the market value does trend up. But, and that, I may be totally wrong on this, but from what I've gathered, that's how some of those things are set up. So it just really rubbed me the wrong way that when I pulled it up, I was like, all right, so that is $44.90 or $44 and odd change. And the buy list price on that was $16. So all of a sudden, and then I looked through the store, and he was right. Some stores were selling them for $60 and $70 because apparently some card had come out, and people were just buying that card up. But it was just, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. If he'd have been like, you know what, I misspoke. Because I've run stores before, and I've been in sales, and I even sold cards online. So you know what, if my price was wrong, and I told that to you, guess what? I ate it. Because that's how you do business.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So if he'd been like, you know what, hey, and this is what he told me. He's like, you know what, I can't do it. It's gonna have to. It's gonna be $60 some, $70 some. I could probably get you a beat up, really rough one for about 40. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. So I just backed off of it. So that guy literally lost out. That store lost a potential. Well, he did not, or he lost a larger revenue off of $20, $30. He let $20, $30 stand between him and a few $100 or $100+ because I was going to pull out a stack of revised cards. It was bonus, my bonus check rolled in.
Yeah.
Let's cash some of these cards out because the great thing is they don't make these cards no more. So boom, boom, I'm good. I don't need to continually rebuy them because I'm weird. I like to hoard cards, like the old stuff, like that. But he literally let that bar me from actually wanting to spend money with that store ever again. So what my thought was, hey, you say, you know what? We're going to let one go for 44. I can't let two go for 44. So I can let one of these go at 44 and show a sign of good faith to work with somebody. Work with your customers. Don't just try to hose them. Has that been that? We've been fine. So legit question. Am I in the wrong on that?
No.
No, not at all. I would have done the same thing probably because the way I look at it, if someone comes into your store and it's something with a fluctuating price and they ask, hey, how much is this thing? If you're not 100% sure, you say, hey, let me check. Don't say, oh, I think it's $44. Oh, wait, no, this guy wants 60, so I want 62.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Don't just tell me it's the market value of something. And that's everything in the case is market value of whatever TCG player says. Then I tell you I want it, and you immediately freaking change it. That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's dirty.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
That's why I take my money to some of these mom and pop shops that at least they price their cards and they know what they've got in it.
Yeah,
and
I would rather give my money to a mom and pop shop anyway because.
Well, I mean, technically it's a card store, so it is a mom and pop shop, but they have these guys have multiple employees and stuff like that. And it has rubbed me the wrong way.
See, and this is why I don't miss collectible games. I only play one game that is still considered collectible, and that is rare. I play UFS occasionally, which doesn't have nearly the predatory secondary market value that Magic does.
Yeah.
Because if it's like we stopped playing HeroClix and started playing Warhammer. If I want a certain Warhammer figure, I can just go buy it. I don't have to buy pack after pack after pack, hoping to get them, and then when I don't get them, go spend $70 on eBay, giving it to someone who was lucky enough to pull it or bought enough cases to where he could just list them. Some of the card games that I have played in the past, and some I do, like L5R and Vampire Eternal Struggle, have switched to the living card game format, and I think that's really better for everyone, except for, card, resellers.
I will say the good thing about this though, it has kind of soured me up to the point I've got my collection of what I really, really super wanted. There are still a few things out there I'd always like to get back, but I
Yeah.
don't have to have them. And the way the market is right now, the market is so volatile, it's actually pricing me back out of Magic, which is what happened the first time around. The secondary market on these cards are creeping up so high that yeah, I could stay in, but the cost is getting too high for me to want to stay in. So great thing is, gives me a chance to get back to my models.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I was only in Magic in earnest for a year.
Was it that brief?
Yeah.
Christ.
Actually, no, it was 2 years. I was into HeroClix for about a year. It was a really brief amount of time, but it just seemed so much longer. But
Time back then went by so slow.
yeah, I remember when I started playing Magic, oh my God, the Black Lotus had a secondary market value like the princely sum of $90.
Dude,
which when you're 15 years old,
might as well be $1 million.
it might as well be $1 million.
I was
Right.
at the Corbin Library, and I see my first Black Lotus. Dude had it in one of those like screw down slabs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think this was right at the ass end of Revised, or right around Revised. He's like, yeah, I would let this go for probably about 150. And I looked at him and I was like, there's no way I will give $150 for a piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
I
Fast
remember,
forward to 2020, where he could just use that as a down payment for a house.
I know, buddy. If I'd bought that, you would have all kinds of cool cat toys by now.
I remember buying a Shivan Dragon for I think $25 back then. I was like, that's a lot of money for a piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
See,
I felt bad about it legitimately, but then, I got over it.
Yeah, I always wanted a Shivan Dragon back in the day, but it was $25, and I was like, well, there's just no way. I can't do that. Because I didn't have a job, and if I did, $25 for one card,
it was a lot. This is something I think would be beneficial for us going forward. First things first, I'm going to say this, and I want to preface this by saying we are not professional painters. We are not professional hobbyists. Everything that I say is not meant to be taken in that context. I am not saying that I am a better painter than anyone by no stretch of the imagination. So I want to preface that, I'm not some expert. The tips and the little things that I dole out are little quirky things that I've come up with just during my time in the hobby to help. Maybe you can take this information and it will work for you. And what I tell everybody, especially when they're in the hobby, take the few tips and rules and just make it your own. Make it your own and use it. And this is not going to be the, too thin coats kind of thing or thin paints, because a lot of us, everybody, if you get online and you even see that, that's always something that's almost fundamentally preached nowadays.
Yeah, that is the chief painting tip. Thin your paints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a couple things I was going to talk about, but one was Tesseract Glow. I don't know if you guys know, this stuff separates like a son of a gun. Do you have yours available, Carmen?
Yeah, I did not shake it either, so take a look at that.
And that is unopened, correct?
Correct.
So
I've not opened it yet.
it is definitely green and yellow.
So
It's like the Italian dressing of paint.
yeah,
So there are a couple of things that are actually made. Trying to remember. You can buy these right here on Amazon. This right here is a wonderful little device.
it's for
And
nail
this,
polish, isn't it?
yep, this is
Made for-
called the Mini Vortex Mixer. So this is like for nail polish and things like this. It's kind of heavy. So it obviously plugs in, but you lay it down like so. You take whatever bottle you have. And this, I was impressed with this because I had taken snakebite leather, the original, not the original GW, but it was the GW paint, not the contrast paint. They're some of their old brown paint, and put it on this thing. And it took a few minutes. Well, it took more than just a couple of seconds to get it to actually mix, because that stuff had separated and started to really thicken up. This has made it easy for me to bring paints back to life. All you have to do is simply take it, set it down like so, and then with your finger, press down on it. And hey, look. So you just, and you can hear that, I'm sure. What it is, there's a little nodule motor that just runs around and it spins the contents of the bottle on the inside. Mix of paint like that. That has brought so many of my paints back to life so freaking quick.
Neat.
So what, and then the other thing is, and this is something I try to do. I had seen this on a couple of websites about making marble floored looking texture bases. So let me see if I can find one that actually, here we go.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
If you guys can see this.
Yeah, I love this.
This right here, tried to give it a marble style look. Now, I had seen a couple of things, every one of these guys had used airbrushes and inks to do this. And I have an airbrush. I don't have time for that. I want to make things as cheap and as quick as possible.
Yes.
So if you look at this, this is a bunch of dryer lint that I've used. Now, as you can tell, I've really stretched a lot of that dryer lint out.
Is that lint or is that a used dryer sheet?
Or dryer sheet, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if you're using the old dryer lint,
dryer lint. Guys, just so you all know, I do work first shift, first and second shift, and it's 12:30 in the morning here. So I do apologize. But no, this is a dryer sheet that I have pulled apart. But it's still, you can still kind of see there's still some texture there. So these guys take dryer sheets and lay them down. They hit it with the airbrush with the color, move it around, hit it again, move it around, hit it again. What I did was I took Army Painter Skeleton, their skeleton bone color, GW's White Scar on a black surface. And it was literally, and I think I also hit it with a couple of, maybe a little bit of gray, just a very dab. But I would take it, stretch it, hit it with the paint, with the spray paint, let it sit for a second, peel this off, reapply it, hit it again, peel it off, reapply it. And I was really impressed with it. Like I said, to me, it looks like a decent marble finish. It's not, I don't think it's as great as some of the guys I've seen in the tutorial, but you know what, for the time, and the fact that anyone can do this.
Yeah. Because
there's no really barrier to entry. If you are a mini painter, you already have cans of primer, dryer sheet, you're good to go. No fancy inks, no fancy airbrushes. There you go. So that was a little thing there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That is really cool.
Yeah.
And now, granted, the smaller you get, sometimes the weirder the textures might come out, and it's not going to be perfect every time. So it's kind of like it's a learning experience really with it. Now, granted, some of those dryer sheets have been through the dryer twice because I've forgotten to pull them out.
Yeah.
And then, you work with it. You don't rip it apart, but you loosen it up. That way you're making sure the paint's getting in there, but you're still leaving something textured.
Right.
Yeah.
But those are a couple of tips and little doodads and things that I do to kind of help out.
I've got one. It's not. It's pretty much a requirement for me at this point, but magnifier.
Oh yeah.
I cannot paint without one of these, but I have astigmatism, and it makes it very difficult to focus on things that are close. It has to be a certain distance from my eyes before. Yeah.
Yep, I got one too. It's just not at arm's reach.
Yeah. So these are always. These are about $15. It was probably the best $15 I've spent in this hobby.
Absolutely worth it.
Yeah. And it has a light. Like this particular one is rechargeable, so you don't have to keep cramming batteries into it. But if you have difficulty in seeing the finer details on your models, that's definitely a must-have. I couldn't recommend it more.
I use mine where I did all those blood angels, and they have all the freaking scroll work and stuff on their armor.
Mm-hmm.
I would throw that on when I was trying to write lettering on it. And it's good for when you're really trying to dot those I's.
And cross the tiny T's.
Yeah, there were some tiny T's too. Because there are a few things more frustrating than, all right, I've got a space almost perfect. I just have to get pupils on and ... Now he looks like he's on meth. And you have to start all over.
I gotta say, that's another thing. As I never paint the eyes. I never put the pupils in eyes.
I do the pupils whenever I feel like I have to. There's always that one jackass who's running around without his helmet on in every box of Space Marines. I don't know why that is. We've taken these futuristic metals and made you a helmet that can repel almost any type of small arms fire. Good, I will hang it on my belt.
I think it actually is arrogance.
It is.
Yeah, they don't think they can be hurt by, whatever's trying to kill them. So
you gotta think, some of these guys have fought for over 200 years.
Yeah.
So it's like they're full of their own shit.
Yeah.
I guess with that going into the close, it's starting to get super late here. I think this is going to be a good spot to tell everybody good night. And first things first, whatever your hobby is, have fun doing it. Especially now, this is a rough year for us, and
Yeah. I mean, just become engrossed in it, get some stuff done. It's like the perfect time,
Yeah, especially where fun is kind of hard to come by these days. So
yeah, it's in short supply.
Guys,
yeah,
we've been training for this our whole lives.
Yeah.
Miniature painting.
Definitely.
But everybody, please stay safe, stay healthy. This is Roland for the Warband signing out. Guys, you all have a good night.
Take care, everybody.
There, guys. Oh, let me say the thing. Like, share, and subscribe. Right? That's the line, right?
That's it. Smash the like button.
And ring that bell.
Take the like button to Pound Town.
I mean, buy dinner first, I guess.